One more person has been confirmed dead in the Kintampo waterfalls tragedy at Kintampo in the Brahafo region. The latest death of one of the injured victims brings to 19 the official death toll in Sunday's accident. A number of the victims are still on admission, and the area has been besieged by a number of dignitaries and government officials, including Vice President Dr. Mamadou Bawumia. Joining us on the line now is Anas Sabit, who will be speaking with him shortly. But the president has also been speaking on this particular disaster in Switzerland, and we will bring you what the president has had to say. Let's listen to what the president Kufuor has had to say in Geneva, Switzerland.
Something happened in Ghana today, which is a very sad occurrence for all of us, and that is this freak accident that took place in Kintampo, where a tree fell into a river and as a result of heavy rainfall, it's killed 18 young men. Apparently, so far, according to the evidence, 22 people have been injured. Vice President is on his way there. I hope he'll speak to me a little bit this evening to see what he has found. But it's a freak accident. It's a sad thing. I think that before I go on, I'd like you to join me in standing up and having a minute's silence. May their souls and the souls of all the faithful departed rest and abide in the bosom of the Almighty till the last day of the resurrection, when we shall all meet again. Amen.
Now, as I indicated earlier, joining us on the line now is Anas Sabit, who has been with the officials touring the area, including the scene of the disaster and the victims' families. And hello, Anas. All right, we appear to have lost Anas Sabit on the line, but we'll try and raise him back. But the Vice President, as I indicated, has been to the area, and he has described as a major loss to the country the Kintampo waterfalls accident, which we know now has claimed at least 19 lives. Dr. Bawumia, who visited the area to commiserate with the bereaved families, lamented the country had lost young people in their prime who would have made Ghana a difference, who would have made a difference in Ghana.
We here on behalf of the President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, who is currently not in the country. I spoke to him this morning and told him of our intention to come here immediately. We arranged to come here to see what has happened and then to mourn with the bereaved families and all of us, because we are all part of one family, which is the family of Ghana. So this bereavement, which we have lost 18 young men and women, really at the prime of their lives, learning, trying to make a difference to their lives and to this country. We've lost them under very, very tragic circumstances. We will have to continue to pray for their souls as we mourn with their families. This is a major loss, not only for Brahafo, but for all of Ghana.
Now, Tourism Minister Catherine Afeku, who also visited survivors at the hospital, promised to carry out a safety audit at all tourist sites across the country. All right, before we hear what the Tourism Minister has had to say, we have Anas Sabit now on the line. Hello, Anas.
Hello.
All right, I know you have been with the President and the Vice President and the officials who are touring the area. Where are you now?
We left Kintampo. The Vice President left for the and I'm currently headed for not to the Congo, but
all right, Anas, we're having issues with your line. If you could speak out a bit clearer. Where are you now and what's been happening?
Well, I can say
Right, it's obvious the line to the Brown and Hafu region is not the very best. We'll try and see if we can get an answer on a much clearer line. But let's go to the tourism minister who has been speaking to this issue.
We need to go there to give these young men and women, our fallen heroes, that spirit of recognition that in their quest to see what is beautiful and what is nice.
How about this?
It will also give us an opportunity to fix. We are going to institute a safety audit across all tourism facilities in the nation. Find a way to link up with meteorological service. I was just informed by the commander that their office is in Tsunami. So we collaborate with our colleague here to ensure that they may, if possible, have a district office. Because with this edifice here, the waterfalls, the weather plays a very big role in ensuring the traffic to the site.
The minority in Parliament is meanwhile urging government to thoroughly investigate the tragedy and make its findings public, as well as reassure the Ghanaian populace and to forestall any similar future occurrence by carrying out an immediate safety audit of 4 tourist destinations with a view of guaranteeing the safety of revelers, while also ensuring that Ghana's international tourism brand is not made to suffer because of this incident, which has attracted immense global media coverage. In a statement released to the media, the minority MPs expressed their deepest commiserations with the relations and loved ones of the tragedy, whilst also joining the nation in praying for the scores injured and for the souls of the departed. The minority in the statement expressed concern about the timing of the tragedy, as the nation is yet to recover from other recent fatalities caused by a surge in motor accident and suicide cases, and urged all Ghanaians, including journalists, to be circumspect in how images from these tragedies are reported and transmitted, especially on social media. That statement put out by the minority, signed by its leader, Haruna Idrisu. Now, the First Lady, Rebecca Akufo-Addo, in a letter to the families of victims, also said she was deeply sorry for their loss and expressed the hope that they would find some comfort in knowing that the whole of Ghana shares their pain. And she quotes, "I pray that God will comfort and strengthen you during this difficult time. These were all beautiful young souls, and we will always remember them as such. I also pray for a speedy recovery for all the injured and pray they return home to their loved ones soon." Over 300 teachers from various districts across the country picketed Monday morning at the Finance Ministry to demand the release of their biometric ID cards, without which they will not be paid their salaries. The teachers, who have gone without salary for months now, have vowed they cannot bear the frustration any longer. Patricia Gasu has more.
Those are the about 300 teachers from across the country struggling to secure their biometric card. The biometric card is their license to receive their salaries. The aggrieved teachers say they have not been paid for the past 8 months and are now mounting pressure on the finance minister to quicken the process so they can receive their salaries.
According to them, that is the last stage before we can get our salaries. So that's the last stage. That once you are biometric registered, then you are qualified within 2 or 3 weeks. Then you can earn your the end of month salary. I'm from Tatale. You know Tatale, how far Tatale is. We have paid almost 200 Ghana cedis just for fare, in or out, just for this registration.
I am at a village in Cape Coast. I need to take another car to that regional office to have my biometric again. Considering the fare I brought here, we weren't on any allowance. And I think they are being insensitive to our problems.
Pole to pole, from north to south, it's not easy. And now when we get even cycle, we walked because we don't have money. So we have come to tell them that they should do the necessary thing to us, so that at least by the end of the month we can have our money, so that we can at least finance ourselves.
Explaining the situation to JoyNews, The head of public affairs at the Finance Ministry, Cecilia Akwete, says there's already a schedule in place to ensure all the teachers get their biometric card. She assures that by the end of April, teachers in every district will be attended to.
Every year we do registration of new entrants, nurses, teachers. We go to the regions and do it. Unfortunately, this year we don't know what has happened, and some of them have decided to come here to register. We have done it today on humanitarian grounds because they have traveled from far and near to come and register. But we do have a schedule for the regions. We are doing it with the other controller and accountant general regional officers, all the regions. They don't have to come. We are going to intensify the announcement. We've written to GES and all the stakeholders to let the new entrants know that we are coming to the regions to register them, so they shouldn't buzz themselves to come to Accra.
The teachers' agitation compelled the Ministry of Finance to begin the registration of the 300 teachers immediately.
Also, the Accra Magistrate Court has adjourned to March 22 the Mawako assault case, where a restaurant manager is alleged to have shoved the face of a caterer into blended pepper. Defense lawyer Augustine Safo Eje, who took over an hour to cross-examine the victim when the case was called on Monday, says he will work to expose the inconsistencies in the victim's account to free his client of the assault charges leveled against him. Matilda Mamega has more.
Victim of the alleged assault at Mawako restaurant has explained how her Ghanaian-born Lebanese supervisor, Jihad Chaban, allegedly assaulted her. Evelyn Boachi had said her face was shoved in pepper and other ingredients. At an Accra Magistrate Court, where there was an engaging cross-examination Monday, the victim, Evelyn Boachi, told the court the blender was not big enough, so Mr. Chaban tilted it low enough to get the irritating ingredients into her eyes. In his cross-examination, which lasted for more than an hour, the defense lawyer, Augustine Safweje, sought to prove that the given size of the blender in question could not have made it possible for the client to shove the face of the victim.
Now, leadership in Parliament has assured efforts are ongoing to get the Jogate Committee to finish its bribery allegation investigation soon, but is unable to give clear timelines on when its report will be ready. According to Deputy Majority Chief Whip Matthew Yindam, the committee finished its work, but an MP approached it at the last minute indicating he has further information that can help it unravel the truth, and this has occasioned the delay.
The Jogate report, it will be brought to you very soon. Very, very soon. No, we met last week on a business issue. I raised that issue with the majority leader. I asked him when this Jogate thing report, because public is interested. We are also interested as a house because it is an alleged issue and we all have to clear it. According to leader, they were almost ready with the report, but a member came saying he has some kind of other evidence to tender in, so they have to wait and let him bring it. So that doesn't look like somebody is fighting against the other person. So
but have they gotten an extension for the 4-week duration that they got? We know that 4-week period expired sometime at the end of last month.
Well, it's true that the period given has expired, and I don't also recollect vividly that the speaker extended it. But the report is not ready.
So they are probably sitting illegally at this juncture.
It's not illegal. There's no illegality in this. The only thing is that maybe they would have gone to see the speaker for extension of time, and the speaker would have granted that, which I'm not aware.
MPs are also urging government to better resource the Ghana Immigration Service to help deal with possible terror threats that the country may encounter. They say though terrorist activities have been low in the sub-region over the last few months, there is a need for increased vigilance. Some MPs have been participating in a conference in terrorism in Egypt, and they say there are key lessons Ghana can learn. Mohamed Samed Gunu is MP for Sabalogo.
Ghana was highly recommended to stand tall in terms of zero records of terrorism in Ghana. And I think this is an achievement. I must take this opportunity to commend our security forces and then urge them to still keep up to their task. This tells us that they are up to their task, but I still urge them and then still appeal to government and all benevolent organizations to give them all the necessary support so as to have the necessary equipment that they can track certain devices that these terrorists uses to cause this kind of acts. I think they only need to have constant exchange training with other countries that we think they also have good records in terms of terrorism. So as if they are able to have that exchange program, it will enhance their skills to be able to live up to modern high tech of preventing terrorists from entering into this country.
More than 5,000 residents of Allabech, a coastal town in the Shama district of the Western region, are asking government to help them relocate. JoyNews' Justice Bedu, who has been to the community, reports lives are being threatened and several property destroyed by the tidal waves.
A town on the brink. This is Allabech, sitting on the estuary where the Pra River, one of Ghana's largest water bodies, enters the sea. A riverine town with a beautiful landscape from the outside, but inside, the very things that makes this town stand out are taking livelihoods away. Allabech is currently stuck between the rock and then the hard place, because to its south, it faces disaster from the sea, and to the west, the Pra River is threatening to swallow it up. Less than 10 years ago, this whole place that I'm currently standing was home to some of the residents here. Now it's filled by the waves from the sea. The truth is that nobody here knows what would happen in the next decade. This is a familiar place for 55-year-old Aku Baya. A decade ago, she lived here with her family. But as marauding sea waves swept through Allabech's coastline, things fell apart for her and her family.
They have been cutting down the mangroves, which has a lot of impact on the community, because these mangrove trees help reduce the impact of flooding. And as you can see, the community, there is a tributary just lying behind the community, and the wetland aspect too is there. So if there is much rainfall, the community gets easily flooded, and some of these mangrove trees help to reduce the impact. But as a result of them cutting down the mangroves for their source of livelihood as firewood, some has resulted in flooding, which has helped increase the environmental degradation of this community.
Aku is just one of many community members here with a similar story, according to community leader Simon Atiatome.
When it's high tide at the sea, people have to move to the other places. Places that is not authorized to occupy by the people. Now people have started occupying that place. Now we are going to move to the high ground because we don't know what is going to happen in future.
Allabech is just one of hundreds of towns at the mercy of rising sea levels in Ghana. This is the story of the threat that rising sea levels and climate change poses to the country. Statistics are hard to find on the devastation that erosion is causing to Ghana's coastline, but it's thought that between 1.5 and 3 meters of land are lost every year. For the hundreds of residents in Allabech and the several other thousands of Ghanaians now at risk of being wiped out through climate change, they'll be waiting to see how the country plans to deal with the looming threat. As they sit and wait, time is not on their side, not least the tide. Justice Bedu, JoyNews, Allabech in the Western region.
Also, the K2 South Municipal Assembly has ordered an indefinite suspension of operations at the Kensington Salt Factory at the Dina in the Volta region, which was recently vandalized by angry residents protesting the company's operations there. One resident was killed in the protest last Wednesday when the police attempted to intervene. The Assembly says the indefinite suspension of the company's operations is to enable stakeholders resolve outstanding issues between the company and the community, which led to the protest. Brett Kwame Asari filed the following report.
Almost every resident in Adina engages in salt production, since it is the immediate economic activity in the community. It has been the backbone of many families, with fishing and vegetable farming being alternatives. However, the residents for over 5 years have lamented of being deprived of their livelihood due to the setting up of the Kensington Salt Factory, a subsidiary of Bayswater Company Limited. This had led to several protests from the residents. According to residents, since the company started operations 7 years ago, their water systems hardly produce water, while wells had dried up, even as the company prevents them from mining salt from a portion agreed to be allocated to the community. A resident, Wisdom Akolu, throws more light on the challenges of the community.
Previously, our wells produced enough water for our consumption, but after the company came in, the wells ceased to produce potable water, but rather seawater. The company's operation has also affected our coconut trees. They hardly bear fruit. Our parents used to get salt when the lagoon dries up, but that doesn't happen anymore. The company has taken over the entire lagoon, leaving nothing for the community. We went to mine salt in an area designated for community but were stopped by the company securities. This triggered the recent protest. The government must step in and fight for what is rightfully ours.
On the back of the protest, Volta caucus in Parliament embarked on a fact-finding mission to the area. The visit was based on the directive of the Speaker of Parliament. During an interaction with community members, the Assembly member for the area, Godwin Gosh Adapo, pleaded with the MPs to ensure the company adheres to some already agreed arrangements for peace to prevail in Adina.
The Member of Parliament promised us there would be peace during our last meeting. The company stressed that they will only concentrate on salt mining, but when residents go fishing in the lagoon, they are beaten and detained. A 300 meters area was reserved for the community. Residents went there to mine salt and were beaten by personnel from the company. Some people sustained injuries. The residents attacked the factory the following day due to anger. We want the company to connect the seawater for their production works as planned.
Chairman for the Volta caucus in Parliament and Member of Parliament for Ho West, Emmanuel Bedra, assured that stakeholders would ensure the factory provides an alternative livelihood for the residents and also constant provision of potable water.
We are of the view, as we speak with the municipal coordinating director, as he mentioned, that the project or the company should stop operation for now and to resolve all the issues. I don't think this should be an issue that cannot be resolved. It is a social responsibility, a corporate responsibility issue. When a company is coming to a place, you need to have what we call alternative livelihood for the indigents. And we don't think that the alternative livelihood has been provided for the indigents. If the alternative livelihood has been provided, we will not have this situation. You hear from the community, all the communities that we've been to, you hear from them that they don't have problem with the company being sited here. It provides jobs for them. But the problem they are having now is that their livelihood has been taken away. and therefore there's no livelihood for them. Their water that they drink has also not has been taken away. So these are petty issues that they need to work on. And if we resolve all these issues, I don't see why the problem cannot be solved, and I don't see why they cannot continue their job.
Fred Kwame Asari's report.
Watching JoyNews Prime now, we're taking a break, after which we'll bring you business news.
Hello, good evening to you and welcome to Business. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana has lauded oil marketing companies that have responded positively to government's implementation of petroleum tax reviews announced in the 2017 budget. Went down further as government started the tax cuts this week, following the lowering of prices at the beginning of the second pricing window for March. In an interview earlier on the marketplace on Joy News, Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, said consumers will deserve further drop in prices at the pump soon after key determinants improve.
I believe that if fuel could come to about 16, I mean, it would probably be a bit affordable or reasonable for all of us. 18.76, almost 19, is still very high. We think a little more could be done. The challenge we have had all along has been with the issue of our forex and the city. And we think that if the city could be stabilized, or the government, like we have indicated severally, should be able to guarantee these OMC some forex at the end of their imports. I'm sure there will be a way to mitigate or bring down fuel prices further than it is currently. The NPA must, be on the OMC to insist that indeed these are tax cuts that we want to see reflected at the pump. Some OMCs have not even moved an inch, and we think the NPA must be on them to ensure that no Ghanaian suffers when the statutory finance bit has also gone down, and Ghanaians should enjoy those reliefs.
All right, Duncan. So, apart from that, do you think that this current situation brings the necessary relief to consumers as expected?
Not at all. In fact, per our calculations of current pump prices, we are still doing about 18.76 Ghana cedis a gallon.
Now, managers of the clearance platform at the country's ports, GCNet, are promising a review of the port charges before it gets clearance to start implementing cuts on imported items. The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, is yet to start applying these taxes despite the approval from Parliament. But GCNet says as soon as it gets the notice from GRA, it will extend the necessary reliefs to importers. Arwin Hergel is General Manager of Ghana Community Network Services.
Tax reductions have been very welcome by the business community, and we all expect that the business environment generally will improve in the next years to come.
One would ask that for a lot of businesses, tax items are always a big portion on their books. And sometimes when you even look at the banks and even before profit, their position is very good. After tax, sometimes their position is very, very in a sorry state. For you, what would this mean for your operations going forward? I mean, expansion, new areas, and all those things, because some are expecting that this should be plowed back into your operations.
Well, certainly the reduction is a good incentive for businesses to reinvest and to look outwards to new opportunities and so on. Having said that, obviously the overall reduction and impact on your bottom line is not that massive. I mean, it is different from, let's say, you would have a corporate rate reduction from 25% to 22% or to 20%. One of the practical steps that we are reviving at the moment is the paperless processing of trade or import declarations. What that means is you will not have to go to customs with documents, physical documents anymore at all. You will scan them, you will submit them through the GCNet system, and if an officer has to look at the documentation, he can do that on his computer screen.
Now some news from the aviation industry indicates that management consultant Mr. John Ditchem Atifa has been appointed as new Managing Director of Ghana Airports Company Limited. Mr. Dechem Atifa holds a degree in Computer Science and Statistics from the University of Ghana, Legon, and a Master of Science degree in Systems Development from Trinity College, Dublin, Ireland. Until his appointment, he was the Managing Director of Virtual Access Limited, a market research company, and has over 30 years' experience in the energy, services, information technology, and pharmaceutical industries. With a practical and result-oriented management style, Mr. Atifa has built a formidable track record of solid achievements in both the public and the private sectors. Mr. John Atifa served as Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, from 2005 to 2009. He has also co-authored a number of publications. Now moving on, some exporters of agri products are calling on government to, as a matter of urgency, tackle the poor status of roads leading to their farmlands. According to Managing Director of Golden Exotics Limited, Olivier Chassin, the poor state of road networks leading to farm gates has been a major threat to productivity. Olivier Chassin said in an interview with Joy Business they have been engaging the local authorities to pay some further attention to roads. There's more in this report.
Poor road network linking agri-producing areas and market centers have been major setback to the development of agriculture over the past years. This also contributes significantly to post-harvest losses in Ghana. Managing Director of Pineapple and Banana Exporting Company Golden Exotics, Oliver Chasang, in an interview with Joy Business, requested for appropriate road infrastructure to boost productivity.
Or the state of the roads, because we are carrying fresh fruit from this plantation to the port. So when the roads are not good, it's very difficult for us. But that was the only real problem we had there. For the rest of it, it was okay. We didn't talk to government, but we talked to the local authority, and very regularly we did. And sometimes the roads are done, but generally it doesn't last. So that's an issue, but we could live with this.
However, he said Ghana's economic environment is friendly for businesses to thrive relative to other countries in the ECOWAS sub-region.
And we had the other issue to discuss with them. Oh, the business environment in Ghana is rather pro-business. Yeah, I like the environment, business environment in Ghana. And the authorities are listening to you, and the attitude are good. And well, that's why we were, Company Future was a group mainly having business in Côte d'Ivoire and Cameroon. And we came to Ghana because after studying the position of Ghana and the attitude of the authority, the business context, we came to Ghana for this. And so far we think we did a good thing coming to Ghana. Yeah, Ghana is a good place for business.
He was optimistic the current administration will introduce initiatives to harness the huge untapped potential in agriculture.
Now, individuals that access homeopathic treatment can now enjoy health insurance services as part of mainstream medical care delivery. This is because private health care provider is C4C, Homeopathic Hospital, has introduced an insurance policy to cut down on the costs incurred by their clients.
About 2,000 Ghanaians have so far subscribed to the homeopathic insurance policy since its introduction about 3 months ago. At the official launch of the insurance product, Director of C4C Group of Companies, Reverend Dr. Franklin Boedu, explained the rationale behind the creation of the insurance product.
And currently, because our national health insurance scheme for some time now have not sought to address the needs of homeopathic patients in the country, that is why the C4C Homeopathic Hospital have been able to introduce the national health insurance scheme strictly for homeopathy in all our centers to be able to address the needs of Ghanaians who are currently patronizing our services. And currently, for less than 3 months now, we've been able to get close to 2,000 subscribers to this particular policy. And the policy is a 1-year policy that covers over 5 different benefits.
Reverend Dr. Boedu also called for representation of homeopathic healthcare providers on the Food and Drugs Authority. He explains how that could also bring down the cost of treatment.
It's a passionate appeal to the new government to really consider, in the Constitution of Ghana, according to the Ministry of Health Practice, you have the Health Directorate for Alternative Medicine, which we have a director responsible for alternative medicine. When you come to the Constitution of the Food and Drugs Board, you have someone representing herbal medicine, but not alternative medicine. And I see it as a reason why when you go to the Food and Drugs Board for registration of homeopathic drug, it costs high. When herbal medicine and orthodox medicine goes for $50, $100, $10 and all that, homeopathy goes for $3,600. And I see that's a way of hindering the progress and the importation of homeopathic treatment in the country.
Homeopathy, often referred to as alternative medicine, is a natural form of medicine used to treat both acute and chronic conditions.
And that's all in business for now. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Apwaji. Don't go away. More stories coming up.
The new NHIS CEO, Dr. Samuel Yano, has sent a strong signal to punish service providers who tender in false claims in an attempt to rip off the scheme. Speaking at Deva after his introduction to the staff by the Health Minister, Dr. Yano said his leadership will tackle the issue of corruption at all levels in the scheme.
Which direction do we want to steer this? I think all of us, knowing the perception out there, once we know the solution, if it is corruption, we have to root it out. If it is the income which is not enough, we have to correct it. If it is the administrative in terms of software efficiencies or inefficiencies that we have in the system, we have to make it more efficient. If it is our service providers whom we cannot control, like the minister hinted, you've got a claim which you think is not being properly prepared, you send it back. If the same service provider continues to do that, he has to undergo some form of punishment or punitive action. If the laws have to be changed to make it a very serious offense to cheat the scheme or to steal from the scheme, we'll have to do that. Because if you cheat or you steal from the scheme, you're actually killing somebody. I wouldn't say you can steal from anywhere, it's not nice to steal. But if you want to steal at all, if you really can't stop stealing and you want to steal at all, we'll beg of people to steal outside the scheme. You can steal where maybe people will not die, but here when you steal, people will die. So for our service providers, I think we'll send a very clear message, very binding legal message, that if you steal, you can get away with it a day or 2 or 3, a month, a year, but the day you are caught, everything will come crumbling down.
The Health Minister, Kwekwe Ajimamenu, speaking to a cross-section of the media after the event, said government was going to implement sections of the Crisis Team report. He added that outstanding debts owed service providers will be settled by the scheme as part of efforts to restore the NHIS to its past glory.
I have a copy of that report. Definitely, some aspects of the recommendations come in line with what some of us are also thinking. So they may not necessarily be Crisis-Team report recommendations, but they may be recommendations that will help us achieve what we want to achieve. So I would say yes, but definitely not all aspects of the report.
Share with us which parts of this report sits well with your...
I wouldn't be able to mention what we are going to do at this particular moment. I'm still consulting with a few experts to see how best we can go. The next 1 year, what you should be expecting is that every month, at least, some money will go to the providers. That is how we are positioning ourselves to go. We haven't seriously started implementing the new budget, but I believe by the time Parliament rises, we may have approved the entire year's appropriations. And we want to live to the fact that the Minister for Finance, will release monies to the schemes, the Health Insurance Authority, to enable them pay providers, if anything at all. We are not even paying 100%. What will be very, very, very critical and necessary is saying that at least every month, every provider sitting everywhere in this country will get some remuneration, payment for the care that they are providing for our people. And when that is done, They themselves, either the Ghana Health Service facilities or CHAG facilities or private sector facilities, they may have something to be able to procure the needed consumables, both drug and non-drug consumables, to be able to serve our people well. We are managing all our liabilities, not only to the providers. If you come to my ministry, don't have providers in there because we are not health insurance, the health ministry. But arrears alone, people that we owe, amounts to close to about 120 million Ghana cedi. They all supplied. Government is owing all of them. So you can't set them aside and say that you are paying some part of your, creditors to leave others. So we are managing all these things holistically. And I believe sooner or late, some pronouncements will come out.
Now, viral hemorrhagic fever, cholera, and meningitis have been identified as the three most hazardous diseases in the country. A recent public health risk assessment also says floods need adequate and efficient attention in the coming months. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Nsiasare, is therefore encouraging functional public health structures and trained rapid response teams to get ready to respond to emergencies. He was speaking at the closing ceremony of the Rapid Response Team training in Kumasi. Mahmoud Mohamed Nouruddin reports.
The northern savanna in the meningitis belt of Africa has high risk for meningitis and drought.
We have recently conducted a public health risk assessment of the country and have observed the following, which need particular attention for adequate and efficient preparedness and response. The top three ranked hazards are all biological hazards, namely viral hemorrhagic fevers, including Lassa fever, Ebola, and dengue fever, cholera, meningitis, and others. Others are floods and tourism. The northern savanna in the meningitis belt of Africa has high risk for meningitis and drought. The forest zone, as we've learned, is at risk for yellow fever, and the coastal zone is at risk for flooding and cholera.
Dr. Nsiasare explains why Ghana must strengthen systems for prevention.
The global threat of infectious diseases, outbreaks, with pandemic potentials, and other hazards of public health importance, be it chemical, radionuclear, geophysical, or infectious, pose a serious risk and threat to all countries, Ghana not exception. The risk is especially high for low and middle resource countries like ours, with less developed systems to prevent and detect early and rapidly respond to emerging and re-emerging public health emergencies.
After a week training in Kumasi, the beneficiaries, trainers of trainees, are expected to see themselves as national resource envelope. They are also required to build requisite capacities in their respective regions to rapidly respond to emergencies.
Post-harvest losses cost Ghana nearly $400 million in lost revenue yearly. Poor road network linking farming communities to market centers is usually the reason harvested crops go bad. JoyNews' Justice Bedu has been to the Branhafo region town of Ukrufum to meet some of the people paying the price for the continued food waste.
This is the road that leads to Amankwa-Krum. It's a small farming town of about 500 people in the Techima North district of the Brongahafo region. This 5-kilometer stretch is one of many things standing between farmers here and the market. 70-year-old Joyce Farr is one of those farmers. Her 5-acre cassava farm was ready for harvest months ago. She's unable to harvest because no car can come here to convey them.
The
road is deplorable. Look at me. I'm old and weak. We can't do anything about the road. It's government's responsibility. During the dry season, cars use the road. But when it rains, no car can come here. We can't harvest. And when you do, you lose everything.
Huge amounts of food like this heap of cassava here continues to go waste in many parts of Ghana. And yet, this is a country where nearly 1.6 million people are at risk of hunger and malnutrition. And in many cases, like it is here in Amankwa Krom, it's usually because there's no way to move this from the farm gates to the market where they are most needed. And this is one of the places where cassava from villages like Amankwa Krom are needed. A gari processing factory just miles away, employing close to 200 women. But work here is slowing to a halt because they just can't get cassava supply.
We can't get cassava due to bad weather. And when it rains and we get good harvest, the cars can't convey them here because of the roads. This factory employs many people, but it is almost empty now. We can do more with a good supply.
The tragedy of post-harvest losses in Ghana is not just with the food that is wasted, but also with the economic opportunities on the agricultural value chain that this country will never realize. Justice Peidu, Joy News, Amankwa Krom in the Bronga-Hafu region.
It brought excitement to many, especially during tournaments. Football, for example, has been a source of joy for many children. But have you ever considered sports as a means of creating a safe haven for children in order for them to turn away from crime? In the following report, Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin tells the story of a young engineer who is using football to rehabilitate children with deviant behaviors in Zongo communities in the Ashanti region.
It is 4 p.m. and school children are returning home after hours in the classroom. Most of these children end up here on the Abuabu Railway line for the rest of the day. Some only idle. The grown-ups, however, spend their time watching their colleagues play football. Thanks to Samsudin Adu, these children are getting guidance through the game of football.
First of all, I've been able to move most of the youth who are vagabond in the system, have brought them here to train them to achieve their aims. We've been able to transform a lot of talents. We've sent some to King Faisal. We have some with Samatex. That's Samsudin, is the best striker over there.
Through these efforts, many young boys have discovered their talents.
Many players have really changed their lives. The likes of Shila Liasu, Habib Mohammed, and Baba Rahman all played here on this particular park. I mean, they call it Dagomba Line football field. And they all played here, and from time to time, their lives changed totally. And so these young chaps you see behind me are also trying to change their lives through football.
Murjana to Suleiman's son, Yakubu Mohsin, has benefited from Shamsuddin's endless effort. Hafsad Mohammed has seen great change in the lives of his 4 sons. There are a lot more young boys who are deserting bad companies to join their friends here on the pitch. The aim of managers is to transform the lives of these young boys so they can have a bright future.
I've been here for the past 8 months now, and looking at the players, I believe they have a very bright future, have a lot of potential. So that I believe the future is bright for Swansea FC.
Samsudin Adu is aware of the challenges that may come his way, but he is confident they will be able to overcome them. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reporting.
President Akufo-Addo has re-echoed his commitment to fulfilling his campaign promise of providing each community in the northern belt of the country with a dam and each district with a factory. He stated that the provision of dams will enable community members produce food crops and vegetables all year round, especially during the off or dry season. This, the president noted, will not only provide jobs for the youth and put money in their pockets, but also engage them during the off-season and stop the rural-urban migration with its attendant problems during the dry season. President Nana Akufo-Addo made the statement in a speech read on his behalf by Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister Samuel Kofi Chamasi at this year's Parliamentary Festival at Tumu in the Upper West Region. Rafiq Salam's report from Tumu.
Paragbele Festival, like many other festivals in the Upper West region, is celebrated to thank the gods for a bumper harvest. It is also an occasion which brought together sons and daughters of the area to look into development challenges and find amicable solutions to them. The festival was held on the theme, Projecting Culture and Development in the 21st Century, the Role of the Chieftaincy Institution. Paramount Chief of the Tumu Traditional Area, Kwaro Richard Babini Canton the Safe, enumerated litany of challenges that the Sisala area is grappling with, ranging from the poor road network to the upset of armed robbery.
The Sisala area, which is well noted for high production of cereals, other food crops, and livestock, has a very bad road network linking the various villages to the district capital. If the government's policy of planting for food and jobs, as announced by the Minister for Agriculture, Dr. Afriye Akoto Osoi, is to succeed in my district, then attention must be given to these feeder roads.
Another key challenge who the people are confronted with has to do with the acute water shortage in the area. For over a month now, customers of the Tumu water system have not had their pipes opened due to the indebtedness of the Tumu Water and Sanitation Development Team to the Volta River Authority. The latter has cut power supply to the water facility. Member of Parliament for Sisala East constituency, Ridwan Abbas Dawood, pledged to fix the challenge.
I've met with the Water and Sanitation Board on the issue. As a short-term measure, the board is seeking a loan from the Sisala World Bank to purchase power to operate the system. I am also in serious discussion with a Korean company as a long-term measure to solve once and for all the water problem.
Reading a speech on behalf of President Nana Akufo-Addo, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister Samuel Kofi Chamasi assured the people that he was committed to his campaign promise of providing each community in the northern belt of the country with a dam.
The provision of dams will enable community members produce food and vegetables all year round. This will not only provide jobs for the youth, but money into their pockets. I also wish to inform you that the one district, one factory, the people of Tumu and Sisala for that matter shall benefit from the one district, one factory project.
The festival was climaxed with the licking of the hot iron and the eating of a live dog. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Tumu.
All right, so we're getting some statement coming in from the University of Cape Coast regarding the recent clashes or the weekend clashes where some visiting students clashed with some students of the Ugwa Hall of the University of Cape Coast. The Vice Chancellor has released a statement, and I'm going to bring you that statement to you. It says, on March 17, 2017, acts of vandalism were visited on Ugwa Hall during the Hall Week celebration of Atlantic Hall at UCC Hall Week celebrations. And Hall Week celebrations have become part and parcel of the university's calendar since the time immemorial. Preliminary investigations indicate that the atrocities were committed by guest students from KNUST Unity Hall, Conti, and University of Ghana Commonwealth Hall. The incident left 2 students critically wounded and others with minor injuries. They are reported responding to treatment. Vehicles, including the hall bus of Ugwa Hall, were damaged, and the hall building also had its glasses broken. The police were immediately called in to maintain law and order. Since then, calm has been restored, and teaching and learning are ongoing as usual. Investigations have started in earnest and wish to assure all stakeholders especially parents and taxpayers, that due process would be followed and the perpetrators brought to book. And the statement is signed by Major Kofi Ba Bentum, retired. He's the acting director. We're taking a break on JoyNews Prime. We'll bring you entertainment next.
This is JoyNews Prime.